Welcome to another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon. And of course, today we're going to have a little bit of update and then we're going to get into the meat of the matter. So sit back, get your popcorn, sit back, relax, and we'll be right back with you.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.
Welcome back. First, we want to congratulate our 2024 Olympians, Tilly Colombo, Zachary Gresham, Lyndon Victor, Anderson Peters, Kirani James, and Haley Hazard. Of course, we have to pull out Lyndon Victor and Anderson Peters for bringing us another two medals, bronze, and we really do appreciate it. Adding to the three we had before, bringing us to a count of 5. Congratulations, guys. We want to say hail up our great Kirani James, and thank you all for representing us. Those of you who didn't medal, it's a great feat just being at the Olympics and representing your country. And so you added to our list of Olympians. Thank you all very much. We really do appreciate you for what you're doing in the athletics field. Thank you. We're going to do a little bit of update on LACO. Well, I guess some of y'all saw LACO live and wondering what's it about. Well, so am I, because to me, it makes no sense, really. If you want to do a live, if you want to talk to your constituency and your constituents and your council and whoever, I'm sure you have a group chat, or there are ways to do that except to walk the Mount Morris Road, breathing short, calling out everybody, hailing up everybody while you do a live. Let's see. But the Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell, never gave Senator Lacrette a reason for his termination. The Prime Minister never met with Senator Lacrette before firing him. Not once to discuss the rumors he've heard or what he know for a fact, if he knew anything for a fact. He just never met with the gentleman and gave him a chance to explain, to deny, to accept. He just never had a chance. So how do you fire someone? How? Without, well, normally in the business world, you probably get a letter of warning. If it's something like that, trust or you lose confidence, right? I mean, if you catch someone stealing, on the spot, you gotta go, right? But he just never met with him to tell him what are his reasons. No, he didn't tell us. Okay, fine. He didn't tell the general public. But what are your reasons? Why you lost trust in him? I mean, this is adult people, right? One adult to the next. Why you lost trust in him? Why you no longer want him in your cabinet or in your government, right? He just never met with him and spoke to him, right? What I do know is that the Prime Minister, in their weekly cabinet meeting on Monday, the 22nd of July, got very upset when Senator Jonathan Lacrette raised the matter of NADMA, the corruption that's going on within NADMA, and the involvement of certain ministers of government, members of cabinet, and that he He went whack, as far as I understand it. Allegedly so. I wasn't in the cabinet. All I know, I'm not a member of the cabinet. But seriously, there was a very heated argument between the two. And as I mentioned last week, it is alleged the Prime Minister said that was going to be his last cabinet meeting. So that, I believe, added to him uncovering the corruption within the lotto, I believe that one with the NADMA corruption involving ministers brought the curtain down on Jonathan Leggett. And so he was fired without knowing. I mean, I think Senator Leggett need to get legal advice on that. I think he needs to get legal advice. Yeah. He probably needs to get legal advice on that. Numerous individuals and companies, businesses, owners alike, have complained to the Prime Minister about Minister Andy Williams. And I'm sure other ministers as well, but we all know about Andy Williams. Owing monies to them, writing bounce check to them, written to them about the behavior of the should I call it corrupt behavior of Mr. Williams and fraudulent behavior of Mr. Williams, right? And the Prime Minister seems to still trust him enough to leave him in charge of the country when he's out of the island. Trust him enough to leave him as acting Prime Minister on many occasions, on several occasions. He trusts him enough. What it is that Senator Leggett could have done that caused the Prime Minister to lose trust in him. It is alleged that a gentleman, as I say, high up in the NDC, showed up in cabinet one day, one cabinet meeting, very upset, confronted Minister Andy Williams at the cabinet meeting in front of the other colleagues for his monies owed to him by Minister Williams. Break up the cabinet meeting. So much so, the Prime Minister had to leave the cabinet meeting, go get a check, wrote a check to the gentleman to have him calm down and to get out of the cabinet meeting. All of this. But Minister Andy Williams is the best minister. He's the most trusted in most cases. As I said, if he is being left as the acting Prime Minister of our country, what have we done? I pray and I ask the Lord every day during the day. I would just say, Lord, what have we done to deserve this? What have we done as a people to deserve this? I guess what we've done was to vote them into office. Then there is the insubordination of the younger ones. And a couple of elder ones as well, who's behind the scenes. Case in point, we have the clip where Minister Karen James, the young lady, on a platform in front of our constituents, young ones, at that, children, teenagers, some of whom may have been looking up to her and want to be like her, using obscenity in front of the people, in front of the world, because this thing was being carried live. Remember, it was set up to celebrate Kirani James, right? For those of you who haven't seen it, here it is. You bring gold, silver, bronze, make a noise. So make the noise, make some noise. Allegations are that the young lady said, and that she learned that the prime minister was not happy about it. But she's saying she learned from him, really. And she's kind of waiting for him to approach her to tell him about this video here.
You could call me Susu. I will accept the Susu because I am going to help the people of Grenada to put the little one money together and ensure that we can give it to the next person and improve their lives. So as I said in Rukane Junction last night, and I want you to join me in the chant, Bangers bust, but Susu doesn't. Bangers bust, but Susu doesn't. Bangers bust, but Susu doesn't. So take Susu in you.
Take Susu in you. And the mic to the audience, to the crowd, who gave us the obscenities, right? I'm sure there were young people and some people bring their kids to these rallies without nobody to leave them with. They bring them to the rallies. Yes, the prime minister did it. Yes, it was uncalled for. Yes, it's something we don't expect from the leader of a party. But Miss Karine James, young lady, it doesn't give you the right to do what you did there. And in my mind, you should apologize to the nation. You should apologize to your constituents for the use of the obscenity on the platform. I believe, and from seeing you walking the street that same day earlier on, you might have had one beer too much, or maybe one beer does that to you. And that's where it came from. That's where it came from. But that too, you probably need to apologize for. I say it again, you need to apologize. It is disgusting, really, what you said and how you did it and where you did it. You can curse all obscenities in behind closed doors. But to come out in public in a forum like that, where the world was looking in on Grenada, because we expected a medal from our great Kirani, right? And a lot of people was looking, people from the diaspora, right? And there was no need for the obscenities. You're a member of cabinet, serving the people, and as such is held in high esteem. You were in your constituency, and as I said earlier, I'm sure there were young ones there, young ladies, young men, who want a career in politics and probably look up to you, you being the youngest politician in Grenada, and I think in the region. You know, that's something, that's an achievement, and they're looking at you and want to be like you. So you must hold yourself and all of you as ministers of government, right? You're at a different level. You know, you're at a different level, and there are ways and there are things that we don't expect of you in public. We just don't. And so we ask you, and I'm asking you, to make a public apology. Make a public apology. This is not about you and the deacon. This is about you and the office you hold and the way you conduct yourself as a young lady in public. Someone sent me video and pictures of you in a senile fete, and some of your behavior suited the name of the fete. I would not put it up there. I would not put it up there. But I want you to be guided, young lady. Be guided that you are a minister of government. You're not just the young lady from Guave anymore. You are a minister of government. Be guided, be guided. And as I speak of you and some of the younger ones and your rebellious behavior, there's trouble in the camp, my friends. There's trouble in the camp. There are factions inside the cabinet, and y'all could pretend as much as y'all want. He could line y'all up to come and listen to the press conference when he fired Lacrette, and all of this sit down there like he drag you all in and bring you all to sit down there to show unity. We know about the disunity that's taking place. We know about the factions in there. And that very many of you are unhappy. You all speak out. You know, I laugh because people want to know, where you getting the information about it from inside the cabinet? The members are speaking out. They are talking to their friends. They are talking in the rum shops. When they go and they drink their rum, the ones who know they're in the rum shop drinking rum, they are speaking out. Come on. Some of the things you hear coming from inside the cabinet, people can't hold that in. Especially when they drink a rum, they would talk. Things that it happens to the ordinary person. It would happen to them. So they are speaking out. There are a couple of them who speak out about the way he treated Senator Lacrette. Did they say it in the cabinet to him? No. Did they say it at all to him? No. But they have persons they speak to, and everyone have that one person or two or three that they would speak to. Right? So when they speak to that person, and that person have one person that they speak, it goes around. So yes, there are fractions. Yes, they are unhappy with the way the Prime Minister treats them. They are unhappy. And so it is becoming unbearable now for some of them. Many of you have lost confidence in the Prime Minister. But are you going to tell him you've lost confidence? No. And why? Why do we think that they sit there like ducks? The money. And he knew what he was doing when he raised their salaries. Most of them, almost all of them, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3, they were broke when they entered office. They were broke. Some of them never had a job, never held a job. There were those who didn't have a bank account. Right? And so he dangled the money in front of them. And they and of course they put themselves in expenses, some of them huge expenses, as they got into government. They have mortgages, they have cars, right? And so they're afraid that they would lose their job. And so you sit there. That's no excuse to me. That's no excuse, right? For you speaking up and speaking out. You're not a kid, you're adults. And so if you speak out and the Prime Minister fire you, then you can come and tell us. Come and tell us that the Prime Minister fire you for speaking out at the way he behaves. But you said that. You never said a word at the way he treated Senator Lacrette. Said nothing. I understand a couple of you called him after to ask if he was okay. What difference he make whether he's okay? What you gonna do? Give him back his job? You should be embarrassed to call him after the fact. But Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, in my mind, has destroyed Jonathan Lecret by announcing to the Grenadian public and the world that he doesn't trust him anymore, enough to remove him from the cabinet. He doesn't trust him anymore. He has lost confidence in him. He did so knowing that this gentleman had a huge mortgage, through no fault of his, a huge mortgage and a huge car note. Right? But he knew. I guess you said nobody asked him to go and that is Senator Lecret to do that. But he did it and you knew. Right? You fired him. He would need a job, another job. Right? Who's hiring him now? Thinking in the back of their mind that he's not trustworthy. You have destroyed his life, politically and otherwise. And no, Mr. Lecret did not accept the monies offered to him and the gracious offer that Ron Redhead got. He did not accept them. He probably tell you all about it one day. I don't know. I mean, with the live yesterday, People's Camp, everybody thought, well, yes, we're going to hear what's going on. But all we heard about was constituency. All we heard about is constituency. I just had to shake my head. I thought it was funny. And then I got angry. So the carnival is over. And Simon Says want to congratulate all the winners. I actually I really didn't have issues with the winners. I mean, it don't make sense really because the judges' decisions are always final. But for the most part, I thought it was well judged. The ones that I paid attention to, that is. So we congratulate here on Simon Says, we congratulate all the winners for the 2024 Carnival. Now let's turn to SMC. And the disaster of a 2024 Carnival season. Unlike many others, I join by saying, if something isn't done in quick time, in quick order, we are going to lose the brand. I want to go on record as saying, this was the worst carnival I have experienced in Grenada in my lifetime. The worst. And I'm actually joining with a lot of people in saying so. In the SMC media launch on the 29th of April 2024, here's the CEO of Spicemas Corporation, Mr. Cecil Noel.
My task this morning as CEO is to outline, and I'll be really brief, is to outline some of the key components of Spicemas, things that you need to know. First of all, I would like to introduce to you the board of directors of Spicemas. As you heard before, we have with us here today Mr. Kurt Ross, who is the chairman of the board of directors. Mr. Ross. We have Ms. Frances Purcell, who is the vice chair. Mr. Deloney Edwards, who's, as director, is responsible for the legal matters pertaining to the board. Mr. Christopher Phillip, the director responsible for business and finance. Mr. Victor Ashby, who is the representative of the Grenada Steel Band Association. Mr. Sylvan Chan, director responsible, has the responsibility for working and coordinating with calypso and soca artists. Mrs. Dolores Winsborough, who represents culture. Mrs. Erica McIntosh, the representative for the National Lotteries Authority, and ACP John Mitchell, who represents the RGPF. As CEO, I also sit on the board at meetings. Now, it's important to know that all that happens, everything that comes through, comes on, there are some people in the background who are responsible for making it happen. Though a very small staff and entrusted with a huge responsibility of putting on Spicemas, our staff has been doing a tremendous job. And I think it's just fitting that publicly we acknowledge them. And our staff members, we have Ms. Della Kellys, Ms. Julian George, Ms. Siobhan Francis, Ms. Keisha Lawrence, Ms. Reba Marquez, and Mr. Theo Connaught. But of course, I also need to include, we also have our PRO, which is not a full-time job, but without that position, again, it would leave us in some spaces that could have us wanting. So it's important to recognize Ms. Chrislyn Lashington as our Public Relations Officer.
Right. So the SMC Chief Executive Officer, CEO, in the person of Mr. Cecil Noel, has a staff of 6, a board of directors of 11, with Kurt Ross as chairman of the board of directors, a buddy of Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, and in my mind, a deadweight, and a political appointee. He was the man behind Pure White, as we would say, the owner of Pure White, until, as chairman of the board, he removed his name from Pure White for obvious reasons. Kind of like how Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell and Minister of Finance Dennis Cornwall removed their names from their CBI agent companies. So the company belongs to who now? Pure White belongs to who now? Right? He removed his name. So we have to say he's no longer attached to Pure White. And I am Princess Diana. Okay? Who's bagging the monies? Who's bagging the monies? That's all I would like to. That's my only question here. Who's bagging the monies? Francis Purcell as deputy chair. Another political appointment and deadweight when it comes to our carnival. Dolores Winsborough, another deadweight and political appointee. She is the person on the board representing culture. What culture? Culture, we come into culture. We come into culture. There was no one on there representing the Carnival Queen Show Committee and no one representing the Mass Band Association. No wonder why the Queen Show was a mess, and so the mass on the road and wherever there was mass was a mess. Not that the others were any better, but better maybe. Let's talk about culture and its connection with Spicemas. Added to the Spicemas CEO and his staff and the board of directors, the 11 of them, We have 2 ministers of culture. 2. We have a senior minister of culture in the person of Adrian Persuader Thomas, and we have a junior minister of culture, Quince Britton, Senator Quince Britton. So we have 2 ministers of culture. And then we have, but first let me let you know that the ministers of culture are directly related to the SMC. They are the line ministers for the Carnival celebrations, line ministers for SMC. Then there's the Cultural Foundation, whose CEO is another political appointee, Livingston Nelson. He was appointed Chief Executive Officer during the 2008 to 2013 Tillman Thomas led NDC reign of government. Non-performance. Then it was also a political appointment. I don't know if beating drums qualify anyone to be CEO of the Cultural Foundation. Then we have a lot of persons out there that could probably do a better job, right? Imagine 15 years later, we bring him back as the CEO of the Cultural Foundation. What? Dust off the cobwebs and bring him back. It's dormant. It was then, it is now. Then there is the Cultural Foundation Board of Directors, headed by another political appointee, my good friend, Christopher Dirks. And of course, this year, as we celebrate the 50th anniversary in the 51st year, the National Organizing Committee and the Celebration Secretariat, according to them, collaborated with the SMC to help mash up the carnival. So we have a whole set of people, right? We have the CEO and the staff. We have the board, the CEO, the Spicemas board, 11. We have two ministers. We have the Cultural Foundation and its CEO. We have the board of directors of the Cultural Foundation, right? And then we have the National Organizing Committee for the Independence National and the Secretariat, all of whom came together to mash up the carnival. In scraps. All of those. And we had the worst carnival ever. But one of the main things I noticed, this independent thing that we carry into all our other events, unnecessarily so. We don't need that. Independence had a celebration. You continue, you're supposed to have village celebrations. Why bring it into the carnival? Why? Had some of the girls on the Queen show, I never see a red, green, and gold peacock yet. And as if people believe that if they, well, maybe they were told, it showed up in the Calypso, except that Innocent was so strong, they could not give him the win, right? Other than that, a song that was sung and won king with, you come back and sing it in our Calypso finals in the Mardi Gras and come in second. And as I said, it's only because Innocent was really strong that he didn't beat him. He didn't beat Innocent. Right? It's the same for third place. Independent song coming into Calypso finals in Mardi Gras and getting first, second, and third place. I'm sorry, not first, but second and third place. Right? They mash up the thing. They mash up the thing. So let's hear the CEO again in that media launch as we continue to converse about SMC and the 2024 Carnival celebrations.
We took some very bold steps last year with regards to time, the quality and the management of time when coming to our events. And again, I want to say kudos to the staff on the team, but more so to the people who perform at these events, because we were able, for most part, to start on time. And in the areas where we may have fall back a 15, half an hour, this year, our aim is to improve on that. So when we say start time is 8, we working towards 8. Whether it's at an indoor venue or on the streets, that's the plan. And I think from what we have demonstrated last year, it is very obvious that this is very much achievable and we would have that under control. You may be asking why so much emphasis on time, but it's important to note as we continue to showcase Spicemas to the world, the whole question of production, the whole question of what we do when we start, how we start, it's key if we ought to continue showcasing our culture to the outside world. We have and continue to have consultation with all major stakeholders. So we are talking about the artists, the singers, the dancers, our queen contestants, our fancy mass band, and the list goes on. But including that is our sponsors, because we have received a lot of positive feedback from them, which in fact has pointed us in direction that will only make what we do better. And with their collaborative efforts, theirs and Spicemas, we only see a marriage that will be long-lasting. We continue to have those discussions, and I can tell you we have had discussions so far with the Traditional Mass Band Association, and for those of you who don't know, last year we were able to separate the traditional mass from that of the fancy mass. So you have them now being looked at and protected by themselves. And we are looking at working towards having the traditional mass do their own display, showcase their own talent on the streets, apart from Victoria. And as we go on, we will hear more of that. But I just give you a little insight because it's important that the media know. Carnival Monday, the plan is that traditional mass will have their own space along the Lagoon Road, Kirani James Boulevard, where they can showcase to the rest of the world what our rich cultural heritage is all about.
All events started late. All the events started late. And not just late, very late, more than half an hour late. The Queen Show started an hour and some late. Queen Show, you know. All. Carnival Queen Show ended at 3 a.m. Friday morning. 3 a.m. Now, is that Sokamuna? Or even the Majra? How does a Queen Show that's supposed to start at 8 in the evening end up finishing at 3 a.m. in the morning? It is obvious. I don't know if there was a producer, but the show was not produced. It is obvious that the show was not properly produced. I'm going to say properly produced because I'm sure they had a producer. There was just no need for certain things. I know you want to add and you want to make it better than what we would have had what we have started last year. And so they come up with all sorts of things to make it better. But if it's not broken, you don't fix. Right? And so, in my mind, there was no need for the moko jumbi and the short knee and the jab that just came on stage and did their own thing. Nothing choreographed. And the so-called Apache, because I've never seen Apache dressed like that, right? So they came on and they just did their own thing. Everybody jumping about the Jab stood up because Jab they face, and the others was just dancing. There was no need for that. A pageant is all with all the different segments and the girls coming on, all 7 of them. You don't need that many fillers, right? First of all, you don't need that many fillers. When number 1 go off the stage and she have a little team in the back, you get on it and get her ready for the next segment. And they have 6 others to go while she's getting ready. And the same for every one of them. Once you come up, there are 6 persons ahead of you. Right? A queen show not supposed to take more than 2 or 3 hours at most. So even if you take an hour, if it goes to 11 and you take an hour to bring the results, which you don't need to, there are computer programs now that could spit out the result for you minutes after the competition ends. And so to have the head judge sit down all night tabulating, all night, that's a sin. That's a sin. Right? But no, strong men bringing them out with fan in their face long after they call their name, the fan still in their face. They call your name, remove the fan, here I am. Whoop. I won't speak about the opening number, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave that alone because all who have eyes could see what happened, the mess that happened there. And the outfits that was not suited for most of the contestants and queens. I mean, I'll leave it alone, as I said, I'll leave it alone. But there were no need. I mean, and I get into the point where I had Simoko Jumbi and Shortney too. Every queen show, everything, every event is more. Come on, that's not all we have. I'm getting to that point. I'm getting to that point. And there's no need for it at the Queen Show. No need for it at the Queen Show. From the opening number to the closing number, I'll just say to the committee of the Carnival Queen Show, again, different doesn't mean better. Different doesn't mean better. If it ain't broken, what you fixing? What needed to fix was the results coming out sooner than it did. That is what you need to fix. Find a way. Ask somebody for help with the programming. The computer does it. The computer does it. The Queen Show, in my mind, was a total abortion. The girls were not ready. Case in point, the winner of Best Evening Wear, Miss Caracu, her hands was all over the place in her evening wear. And I mean, I'm not just criticizing, people can go back and look at it. All over the place, right? And mind you, I'm not saying Miss Caracu shouldn't win the show. Huh? It's not her fault. It's not any of the girls' fault. They just were not properly prepared. And in my mind, they tried and gave a good account of themselves. All of them tried. And it seemed like they were on their own, really. Most of them. Now, you brought a new segment. Best evening wear and best in evening wear. Best costume and best in costume. And so one would think, okay, the person that won best evening wear may not necessarily win best in evening wear because what was the purpose of it? Same with the costume. But all who won the best evening wear or the best costume or the best swimwear won best in swimwear, in evening wear, and in costume. What was that? What's all of that about? What is it about? You know? Come on. Don't just try to do new for new sake. Come on. Then Miss Carriacou, who won Best Evening Wear, in my mind, Miss David won Best in Evening Wear because she walked the most gracefully and so across the stage, right? She may not have the best, might not have had the best evening wear, but she walked best in evening wear. I want to explain y'all own comments for y'all. Come on now. Right? But I guess the judges was just totally confused about that nonsense anyway and just say, listen, we sticking to the old way. I am happy with the results, really. And because of the categories and the point standing, and that's something Grenadians need to bear in mind and probably get the point standing so that at the end of each show we ain't pelt stone and we ain't say they thief. Because some segments carry a lot more points than others. Right? I think it's a costume or something like that in the Queen Show, or carries some 60 points. Right? So if you win that the costume segment, you well on your way, right? The question and answer, the interview carries a lot of points as well. If you won that section with Ms. Carriacou, you on your way. And if you can win one section or none, as a matter of fact, and still be crowned queen. Because if you're consistent, second place, if you didn't win, you came second, or maybe even third, at 1/3 in there, you would win the show. I have witnessed, and those of us who've been involved in Queen Show for many, many years, there was a queen who didn't win none of the segments. She won no. She didn't get no first place in any of the segments. And she was crowned queen. Well, listen, Queen's Park almost burned down that night, you know, when that happened. But it can happen. And the same goes for the Soca Monarch. And they have things like diction, clarity, melody. Yes, the person you supporting may not have no melody, but you like the song, and with the music it sounds good, and you jump and you wave. Creativity, originality, all these things. So please don't just go and then try to make the winner feel bad about winning. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. For me, in the Queen Show, second and third was a toss-up. It didn't matter if Miss St. David's or Miss St. Andrew won. They both were on the same level in most cases, and they were strong in certain segments. And so I had no issue really with the judging of the Queen Show. But I just had to mention that as Miss Carriacou, as elegant as she looked in her evening wear, the package wasn't there. And it's through no fault of us, whoever was training them, have to help them with the way they carry themselves on stage and what you do with your hands and all of that. Normally, no matter what happened in a carnival, no matter what happened in carnival, you say Soca Monarch wasn't good, they start too late, if anything, Queen Show, no matter what happened in whichever event, Juve normally turn out to be good. And everybody say, thank you, I enjoy myself, I had a good Juve. Spicemas and them mash up Juve, no? I never thought. Well, I would say NDC, Spicemas, mash up Juve. Don't leave them out. Because it's they that put their political appointees in there. them that put them in there. So I was looking at it from my couch, and I saw, and the commentator kept saying, well, people just walking up and down, and I see everybody who was watching would have seen it. Up and down, back and forth, like chicken without heads, headless chickens. And when I find out from my daughter, who was one of those headless chickens, what happened, she said, everybody was just walking up and down, searching for the bands, trying to find a band to jump with. Juvenile. All the fancy things that the CEO in the media launch had to say about Juve. Listen to this.
Also, down for big focus as we continue to explore the culture will be what happened Juve morning. And Juve morning, I'm telling you, it is expected to be a serious explosion of culture. We're not going to get into the detail, but Kirani James Boulevard is definitely going to come alive, as a lot of the focus is going to be placed on job, but not as you know it. It's going to be placed on job in a manner that is going to be both historical and educational. So we are throwing it out from now. Make sure Juve morning, early, you are present and to witness what we have planned in terms of the outlay for the job. And I will suffice to say that we have a meeting with them tomorrow as we continue to plan on that explosion of culture. In addition to that, for the Juve morning, we'll also have Old Mass, and we are really working to try to get a larger number of Old Mass, both as group as well as individual, to be on the road this year. I mentioned of the Juve being on the Kirani James Boulevard. They will have their time slot. Likewise, the Old Mass will be afforded a time slot on the Carnage area to display and depict all that they would like to.
Okay. The boulevard did come alive. Kirani James Boulevard did come alive, but not with the jab. It came alive with gunshots. It came alive with gunshots. Now, I'm saying it again, if it's not broken, why try to fix it? What is this explosion you are going to have with Juve and the drama with Jab? That was this big secret. You think somebody coming out Juve morning to watch a skit on Kirani James Boulevard with Jab? No, Jab don't have time for that, right? So just stop all these things, this thing you're trying to do, and keep it simple but real. Keep it simple but real. Juve morning, chip or jump up, the ones who want to jump up behind the trucks with the music, or you chip across the boulevard, across the carnage. Huh? It's a vibe. Maybe you could bring back the drums. I'll never forget that Juve with the drums, the truck. It was our CEO, Cultural Foundation CEO. His drumming group was on a truck, and that was the best Juve ever. The drumming and right after a while, when they got to by Renwick and Thompson area there, and the drumming stopped, I guess the drummers were tired as well. And the DJ pick up. Who wanted to follow the... I turned around and went, that was it. I just had a good time with the drums. Chip, chip, chip. Right? What was this thing about? Well, it never happened. I don't know what happened to it. It disappeared. It never happened. And instead, we had gunshots. We had stabbing. At least 5 persons end up in the emergency with gunshot wounds. We had stabbing, we had choppings. They also had in the outer parishes, St. Mark, St. Patrick. I haven't heard anything from St. David's, which I hope not there wasn't any, thank God, right? Stop concentrating on all these things and just let's get the package. Let's get it going good first. Before you try to bring in all these things, what explosion we need, what is, because I remember the whole explosion and the secret for the launch in the stadium, the launch of the Carnival ended up being a skit or several skits. No, we don't need that. Money in the pocket of some of the supporters and some of the boys and the girls. Money in the yeah, we understand that. But find another way to give them. Y'all can do that. We know y'all can do that. Find another way to give them the money. But you see, the Carnival, the product, don't mess with it. It was good as it is for years. Sometimes it drops, sometimes, but generally, we good. We're going to take a quick break and come right back.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.
And of course, the Juve started late. Juve was, according to the CEO at the media launch, was supposed to start. People should have started gathering at 4 a.m. and with the Juve starting at 5 because he wanted a 5 o'clock start. 7, 8. I first tuned into GBN. I went, GBN was there and nothing was happening, walking up and down. And GBN after 7 said, well, that's it, we gone. GBN gone and brought some movie or something. They just left, right? And then I went over to MTV, who waited, had enough patience to wait and to carry what, the Juve. Planning, proper planning. The CEO spoke of panorama and the demerger and incentives to encourage people or to bring out larger crowds at those two events. Spicemas, another very late start, always late. Here is what the CEO said should have happened.
Based on the discussions we have had so far, we expect, again, when coming to time, that the fancy mass band will come out on time so we can start on time, that people will be able to see them in their full regalia on the road with some sun, with all the glitters and pomp and flair. We are working with them to ensure that that also happens. Start and end time. It is extremely important that we take note of this, because what we have found and are fully aware of is that if our Spicemas is to have any real resemblance of order, time is one of the key ingredients. So for example, you will see I have here for Juve 4 a.m. We are fully aware that with respect to the law, what it says is 5, but we are encouraging people to gather as early as possible so we can have an early start, because everything is going to be time bound. So if we can gather 4 a.m. and get moving, let's say 1:15, 1/2, and there's no real challenges with respect to the security aspect and other things, is going to be key. But part of why we are also really pushing for that, remember I told you about that spectacle and what we want to do with the jabs at Kirani James Boulevard? That early start time is going to be critical for the plans we have for jab. And I'm going to be saying it, and our PRO is going to be saying it, because we expect this to be something really big for Grenada and for jab and our Juve. So Juve will start. We'll have an early start, congregating from 4 and moving. And the plan is to start the stop around 9 o'clock. So for example, with the aid of the RGPF officers, we will be going around, let's say primarily to people like the DJ, and announcing to people that we are time to boil down, if I may say it that way, or time to simmer down. So by 9:30, all DJ music should be stopped. By 10 o'clock, we hoping the place, people clear the place, we can clean it and get ready for the next event on the street, which is pageant. We are really asking people to work with us. Last year we tried it, it worked well, and we just want to improve on it this year to make sure we have that level of control with time. The pageant will start at 1 p.m. And this year, for Monday, the pageant, we're going to be putting some additional emphasis on the traditional mass, which I also mentioned, outside of the traditional mass festival in Victoria. So I am making the appeal from all now. DJs, people playing music along the Kirani James Boulevard, please, the first session of pageant on Monday is for that of the display and the parading of the traditional mass. So we will not need any DJ music. The jab going to be using drums, the vacom, the clogs, and the other people will be doing the chant. And we want it to be a case where this could be a truly family experience. People come out, you're able to hear what is being said, and you see what is being done, because it's going to be a display of what's supposed to happen with the various traditional mass bands. So that is expected to start 1 p.m. and end at 6 p.m. And we want to end at 6 p.m. so that people now can recoup, get themselves organized for the Monday night mass, which commences at 8 p.m. And the Monday night mass will start at 8 p.m. and go maybe as late as 2 a.m. if necessary. I know over the years we heard a lot of complaints with Monday night mass. But again, from the experience of last year, we did not start 8, but guess what? We started 8:15, and a lot of people applauded us for that. We still have 15 minutes to catch up on, and we will do that in 2024.
So how do you go from bad to worse in something like that? If you have your postmortems, you know where you went wrong. Guess what? It was only 15 minutes late. And how it turned out to be hours late this year after nothing that CEO Cecil Noel said in that media launch happened as he said it for the season. And I remember, and I don't know if some of you who was following me since then remember me coming and say that if what was put out in the media launch happened, we were going to have a bumper carnival. I did, because it sounded good, except for the explosion with the jab on the lagoon in Kirani Boulevard. I don't know what that was going to be, but it didn't happen. I think they better forget about it, right? But it didn't happen. The CEO said that they're stressing on punctuality because time is going to bring order. I agree with him. The whole thing was without order. It was orderless. Everything was crazy all over the place. All over the place. The first band came down in front by Tropicana there, right? Passed late. After that band passed, I think it was Peter Bain and Associate, mid-afternoon. And it's supposed to start at 11, mid-afternoon. After that, there was this long lull before the next band showed up. And after 2 or 3 pass, outside dark, 7 o'clock, dark, you can't see anything. Well, MTV wrap up, pack up and left because they said they couldn't see, it was dark, and they left. According to CEO Cecil Noel, Fancy Mass should have started 11 a.m. Listen to this clip.
The parade of the bands on Tuesday That is expected to commence at 11 a.m. And again, coming out of all the discussions and meetings we had, especially with the Fancy Mass Band leaders, we expect that to happen. I will just explain to you. Part of the discussion had to do with how do we encourage the people that play in mass, who spend the money for the fancy mass, to make sure they are there to commence and to really use up their spendings and enjoy themselves on the road. So things we know that other activities in other parishes, the fancy mass band leaders has taken upon themselves to try as much as possible to educate their masqueraders of the importance of being on time, having spent the money to be on the street and do what has to be done. So as early as maybe during some of the registration, they are going to take the opportunity to speak to that. I mean, ACP is here, and part of what we explained to them, if a band has a number to be on the road at number 1 and they're not ready, what we plan to do is park them up on the side, and maybe that's kind of like not what I want, because we have to be able to get the movement on the road.
At the end of the press briefing, of course, like every other, they normally have, the media asking questions. And when they were asked about the return of the Dimagra, which they proudly spoke of earlier on, and the king and queens of the bands, this is what the CEO had to say.
Ashgra, you mentioned the return of the king and queens of the bands.
Yes.
With that being said, what would be the start time, and do you have a buy-in from most of the bands? How many king and queens can we look forward to seeing on stage?
But the registration is not completed as yet in terms of the Fancy Mass Band. But from our discussions and meeting with them, there are approximately 12 such bands. And let me take the opportunity to also explain to the general public that what we are requesting of the Fancy Mass Bands is that they compete for Band of the Year. We know there's some various trends and thoughts with respect to what we do and how we do it, but we are encouraging them as much as possible to do that. And there are a number of reasons why we are doing that. And you see how it also falls in line with the Queen and King of the band. Because we see that as being one of the main ways we can have the Fancy Mass Band be more orderly on the streets. And when I say orderly, I'm talking about the portrayals in sections, as well as the actual tendency to be moving forward and not be seen as quote unquote a party band who just stops, have a party in the street, and there's no real flow of the bands moving from point A to point B. So we are encouraging them to all compete. We are not sure if they all will, but that is our aim. So Band of the Year is going to be key. And you can't really have King and Queen of the Band without Band of the Year. So it's a total experience and offering with respect to bringing back the Queen and King of the Band.
So I was looking forward to that, to the return of the King and Queen of the Band parade on the Dimagra night. This is one of my episodes. I just love to see that. So when I heard 12, so far I had 12 registered to take part, I thought, oh my God, that's going to be splendid. That's going to be awesome. 4 showed up. Francis Redhead and Associates, who had retired out from that and now, well, as I see, returned. Lazarus and Twine and Associates, same, had retired and came back. Tootsie, the band, that's a new name, a new band. And Peter Bain and Associates, 4 bands, right? They were not able to convince the party bands, which he said they had agreed to parade and to bring out king and queens. It's no fault of theirs, and they can't force them to do it either. I mean, maybe they can. They can put things in place that have them taking part in that. But these bands, for the most part, one or two of them especially, were not even able to give all the persons who paid them money their costumes. Now, something has to be done about the drama that takes place with these bands, these party bands, these luxury bands that cannot meet the standard of the people. Some of them, what you see online and order is not close to what you receive. Some of them, some persons did not even get their costumes. It is alleged that one of the shootings that took place, gunshot was fired behind after a truck belonging to one of the luxury bands from someone who apparently was upset and didn't get their costume and was really upset. It is alleged. Okay? So I have seen videos of persons raffing food from one of these luxury bands with their hands, macaroni pie, a war to get food. And there were mostly foreigners there trying to get this macaroni pie, and somebody come and take away the tray. Right? Now these people and the poor experience they've had will not come back. They will not come back, and they would tell others about the poor experience, the terrible experience they've had. Something has to be done about the entire Carnival package. The persons dealing with Carnival, you must have somebody representing mass bands. The bands that used to take part, that you looked forward to in the March Girl, Andre Garvey and Associates, Helen Marie, Commemorative, they were not there. As a matter of fact, Commemorative and Helen Marie only had kids section this year. I think that did last year as well. Andre Garvey passed with a dozen or just probably a little bit more over a whole entire band, because everybody gone to the luxurious bands, the party bands with the strings up their butt, right? And so the traditional bands that we knew of, they had dwindled away, right? I know that SMC could do anything about that, because you can't tell a person where to spend their monies. But no matter, every year you hear of the confusion and the turmoil that takes place with these bands. And it continues. It continues. So I don't know what happened to the 12 bands or more that had registered for the Dimagra, but it was just so disappointing. So disappointing. The CEO at the media launch had this to say as well.
We have been in engagement, whether it's from a ministry standpoint or otherwise, to ensure that what we do in terms of policy will help govern and help protect Spicemas, make it better. We are in fact working at this stage with the Ministry of Finance on an impact assessment, an economic impact assessment, and this is part of what we want to put as policy direction, because we want to make sure that when we spend monies to put on Spicemas, we could in fact come back to you and give you all the relevant information as to why we spend it and the outcome of it, who benefited from it, how much the economy benefited from it, both from a social standpoint as well as from an economic standpoint. So we continue working towards that.
I hope you're going to tell us who benefited from the New York Spicemas launch. Why won't you talk to us about that? If you say you're going to come back and tell us, okay, I'll give you that. Maybe you do it at the end when you have your press conference to come and tell us how the entire carnival went and how much money you made and how much. I hope you tell us then. But we need to know We're not forgetting, about the New York Spicemas launch and who benefited from it. If Spicemas benefited, or if an individual or individuals benefited from it. So we await that. He continued.
No, for example, for Spicemas 2023, it cost us approximately $4.1 million to put it on. And sometimes I kind of, well, I wouldn't say avoid, but don't deliberately talk figures because it gets into a lot more discussions. Because the truth be told, it cost us, as I said, $4.1 million. And from the question you just asked with regards to support for the other committees, when we do some rough calculation, we expect that budget to be approximately $5 million for this year. Are we going to get it? I hope so. But just letting you know, right? I would jump ahead as well as to say, thanks to the NLA, because they have been playing a very pivotal role in terms of the finances we receive. We were able to receive approximately 1.1 from them last year million, and we were able to receive approximately 1 million from government. Does that say anything to you? Anything? It says, for example, what we received was 2.1 to run Carnival. The actual budget was 4.1. So the support we got from sponsors, and I want to say that, and I want to thank them and ask them to continue being there and supporting us. The additional support we got from sponsors was and remains a key component of what we do. The others, we were able to work, so things like pay-per-view and other aspects of the Carnival, gates receipt in terms of to be able to cover. And yes, if you don't ask it, I would say it. We didn't know anybody. We were able to pay all our bills for 2023.
First, let me say we know that is not true because after you did that media launch, the former soca monarch, power soca king, complained that he didn't get all his monies yet. One. Secondly, Spicemas is not broke. They claim that they use the pay-per-view, some of the monies from pay-per-view to help pay their bills. And so, okay, yes, you make money, but we have a certain demographic of persons, people who do not do the shows, and so because probably they're older, they don't have the means to get there, they probably don't even have the money to pay to go in. And they used to get it on their radio. They would listen to, I, as a child, remember listening to the Mardi Gras on radio. Now we have television everywhere. And so a television station, I think the TV brought it as well. After a while, these people are cut off from the carnival. They don't get to see anything. They don't know what's going on. They don't get to hear anything. They would love to be able to stay at home for those who can't afford the pay-per-view and still be a part of the carnival. It's our thing. It's we thing. It's everybody's thing. It's a national event. It's our biggest celebration. And they would love to be. I've heard so many complaints that I thought I must speak about it. Yes, I know Spicemas want to make their money with pay-per-view, but please find a way to help out these persons that would love to be a part of the celebration and cannot be because they can't afford the pay-per-view and they can't afford and they don't have the means. And what about the shut-ins? What about the shut-ins who still want to be able to see the parade of the bands and that sort of thing, you know? I've never heard it mentioned from the Spicemas Corporation, be it the chairman of the board, the CEO, that during the years of COVID-19, when there was no mask, the government of Grenada then still gave Spicemas their subventions. In other words, if it's $1 million, as the CEO said they get annually, that $1 million was put into Spicemas bank account. So they have these monies that was never used. It's there, so they're not broke. But Spicemas need to get up and not wait for the government to give them subvention every year or to take care of their bills. And so during the year, you can host Calypso shows. We only hear Calypso when the tents start. This year, because of the whole barrel thing and some of them the trouble for music, there are tents who never had a show before the judging night, and others who had one show before judging night, right? And so you don't get to hear Calypso like and see, like you'd have so shows, events in the stadium and so where the soca artists, and so you see them all year round. If there's a brunch, they come through. If whatever it is. The Pan Association start to do a little pan in the sand, and they have little different pan explosions, I don't know, in on the Carnival and where. But Calypso, so host Calypso events. Even if it's $10 to enter, you charge. You're going to make a little money, right? And therefore, you probably would not need the pay-per-view at the end of the year when Carnival comes around again, so that persons can enjoy the season as well. Everybody can get a chance to enjoy the season. But folks, the thing mash up. It mash up. So my boy says, it seems as though the thing above your pay grade. It may not be, but so it seems, because you do not have the help that you need. There are too many dead weights and just persons, because they're on the board, that can enter each show free, that can go in every VIP, right? And eat food and drink. That's what it is about, even for the ministers and so. You don't even see some of them in the show. They never sit down. They spend all their time in the VIP, inside, in the AC, eating and drinking. That's what it's about. Never taught. Never see come see. Right? The whole thing is an abortion. It's like a bunch of kids in a candy store. This is a country you're dealing with. Kukute, you take a whole country and play kukute? What's going on? Where's the leadership? We have not heard or seen the Prime Minister throughout the entire season. He didn't wish us well. He didn't ask the young men to hold up on the violence. Don't go to Carnival with guns. Don't listen. I've seen a clip of the weapons that the police took from persons in St. Andrew. We're going to put it up on the screen later for you to see. And I mean, if you see scissors, there were knives, there were a couple what looks like a rifle, guns. If you see the amount of these things, no, not a little bit of encouragement, asking us to play a safe carnival, be safe, don't bring the violence, drive safely, don't drink, and not a word from nobody in this administration. Go there and kill all yourself if all you want. Where is the leadership? Go away from us. Leave us alone. We had enough. We're tired. Call the elections. Let the people give you a new mandate if they want. But this runs, we tired. We tired. So I'm saying, sis, because when I listen to you, you have the good ideas. I don't know if it's yours, whose own it is, but what you speak of, they all sound good. I know you, and I know if you have proper backing, you would do a good job or a better job. You would do better. More carnival-oriented people around you, not just politically oriented or NDC-oriented. It's not because you're in office, you put people in place who can't do the job, and it's not just in Carnival. It's everywhere. It's in the ministries. In everything you do, you just put people in place that cannot do the job. And they accept because they're happy to get the perks. We need to save our brand. We need a new board. And listen, there are those on the board who are doing what they're supposed to do. I'm not going to call names here. You know who you are. And the ones who are dead with, they know who they are as well. You know who you are. However, words is, Mr. Cecil Nguyen, I'm putting you on watch, that Mr. Orlando Romain is set to take over the thing. Well, we know that because, remember, he's the magic man. He can get everything done. So he's going to take over the carnival. Gail Person name is in the mix. So I ain't sure which one going as CEO and which one going as chairman of the board or in charge of the entire thing. But watch out. Watch out, Cecil. They come in. They come in. On the to the point, Wednesday, the 14th August, the Minister of Culture, Adrian Persuader Thomas, was the guest there. And this is what he had to say.
Good morning, and thank you for hosting me this morning. It's a pleasure being on GBN, and good morning to all the people listening to you far and wide. I am fine. I have survived the season, and I've participated well, and I'm quite happy.
You didn't play a jam, right?
Excuse me?
I just wanted to get your take on
that. I don't have a choice. I think if I didn't play job yesterday morning, the Prime Minister would have cost the Ferry Minister for Culture.
And we don't want that happening under no circumstances.
After all, job is everybody's business.
So true.
The minister said he didn't have a choice. He had to play job, or else the Prime Minister had to fired him. Y'all heard that? He said he didn't have, go back, play it over if you didn't hear it. He said he didn't have a choice. We talking dictatorship here? But we know what goes on in there. We know what goes on in that cabinet. By now, most of you know what's going on inside there. He continued.
Just a mere look. Now, as minister, with over responsibility for culture, let's reflect on Carnival 2024. What's, of course, your reflection for Carnival 2024?
Carnival 2024, I may want to. It's early days still. We are only doing a preliminary analysis of the whole situation. Carnival 2024, I would say it was a bumper success.
Now, deep breath. To say it was a bumper carnival. It was a bumper success. I'm sorry. It was a bumper success. It was a bumper success, but he has no data. He didn't speak to nobody yet. He's going to wait till the end of the week to get the data from the tourism authority about the persons who come in. They haven't had a postmortem. I mean, Carnival ended Tuesday, Wednesday morning, bright and early. He's on the To The Point program. But he knows that the Carnival was a bumper success. What measurements was used, Minister, for you to say the Carnival was a success? And not just a success, a bumper success. All you need to stop that. You ain't blind, you ain't deaf. You hear and you see all the complaints in social media. And some of it come from your people as well. You see it. The worst carnival ever. We need to save the brand. We need to fix it. Is what phrase I see to say that we're in trouble when it comes to our carnival. We're in trouble otherwise. Generally, we're in deep trouble. We're in deep trouble, but the carnival is in trouble. So get off your laurels and stop the grinning like a Cheshire cat. Since you became tourism minister and culture minister, the grin never left your face. Because what? All you're doing is enjoying the life. You're traveling a lot. You in every event in the VIP. You know, life is good. Life is good. Stop the grinning. Fix the product. Sit down, do a postmortem, get persons that are capable, and let's pull this thing back together. It's gone far, but it's nothing that cannot be fixed. And minister, this bumper success, I hope as Minister of Tourism, you've seen the Grand Isles Beach. Take a look. In the previous administration, I remember the complaints about people not littering the beach like that with the dirty jab clothing, but bathing in the ocean and leaving the oil in the sea. And it was taken care of. But where are the beach police? There are supposed to be officers, what we call beach police, parading the beach. You telling me a morning like Juve morning, there's no beach police? And so people were able to bathe and leave and litter the beach like that with no one in sight to stop them? Your job, Mr. Minister of Tourism, through the Tourism Authority, whoever. Hope this is the last time, the first and the last time we see something like that, because really and truly, this is the first time. To use your phrase, your one of your popular phrase, really and truly, this is the first time we've seen our beach like that. So we hope that you put that down in your book to take care of. That we don't see this. Can you imagine tourists coming, wake up in the morning of their hotel room and decide to go and take a swim? And I understand the oil, you could have seen the film of the oil above the water. People can't go on the beach and bathe. But you're grinning and bawling. It's a bumper success. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell spoke of jabbing cabinet and jabbing parliament. That's why I guess he said jab is all everybody's business. I thought it was tourism was everybody's business. All of a sudden, jab is everybody's business because Prime Minister talk about jabbing cabinet and jabbing parliament. You, the minister, said you didn't have a choice. You had to play jab or else you might lose your job. That is everybody's business, you said. What a crock. What a crock. He is speaking on himself. I'm probably not aware of it. Big joke for him. He didn't have a choice. Just telling us and showing to us that they're led by a dictator. And it's clear to see. He too had to play jab. He's in cabinet, so he had to play jab in cabinet. Let's hear the Prime Minister.
You're playing jab this year?
Job is a must. Job must be. Job in Parliament.
And that's jab in Parliament.
Job in cabinet.
You know you're job in opposition too.
Yeah, job in opposition. I ain't finna see it.
Hey. So you're in opposition. Reco? Well, go drag me into this.
Reco scarecrow.
Hey, boy.
Honorable Prime Minister and Minister of National Security. There was also jab in the police pickup truck. No one can explain that to me. So I'm going directly to you, Minister of National Security. Can you please explain what we just saw there, sir? Bring back the marshals. Remove the political appointees on the board. It was very obvious, SMC, you do not have a logistic team. Please put one in place. Please. There was no logistics. Everything was everywhere. Everyone was doing it. It was horrible. And you know, I think looking at it from home, you get to see more. Some people will say, oh, I had a good time at job. Have no idea probably what happened and throughout. It is no wonder why the NDC continue to mess up in every sector. You continue to put wrong pegs in square hole. Imagine the Minister of Tourism and Culture on To The Point Wednesday, August the 14th, saying he has not yet met with anyone. He has no data, more or less. No postmortem was done. But he knew the carnival was a bumper success. What about it was successful, Minister? What measurements did you use where you got your info, your data from? I'll say it again. Stop mixing politics with carnival or we'll lose the brand. It's well on its way. Question for the Stadium Authority or the Spicemas Corporation. Didn't you know there was no water, no running water in the stadium on Thursday, the 8th of August for the Carnival Queen Show? No flushing of toilets, no washing of hands, not even for the vendors. As a matter of fact, I got a call from a vendor on the second night because there was none on the Queen Show. And then on Friday, the 9th, for the Soca Mona, with the stadium, Ram Jam Cram. Of course, it was a smaller space. And so the crowds were smaller this year than any other year. However, on that night as well, there were no running water. 2 nights, 2 events. You have no running water in the stadium? And why wasn't the stadium, after the first night, couldn't you take care of it for the second night? Same scenario, no running water. Imagine the vendors have no water to wash their hands. They had to go and bring in tote water in buckets and bottles so they could wash their hands. and to take care of what they're doing there, because some of them do prepare the meals, the stuff right there at the stadium, nice and hot. You get it. They don't cook and bring it in. No toilets, no flushing of. I don't even want to talk about that. What the mess that was there, literally. Speaking of stadium, here are some photos of what the brand new $1 million tract looked like after the hosting of Carnival events there at the Athletic Stadium. I don't know if that could fix. I don't know if it can clean, depending on what you use to try and clean it, or to scrub it, if it damaged the track. Wasn't the track supposed to be protected, covered? Jab thing. I don't know what's going on there, but we have something to deal with there. After we make the noise about the music festival and who gave him the right to use the thing. Yeah, the Prime Minister told him it was okay. We end up having Carnival there. And I remember asking, we're making all this noise about the promoter using there. Where are we hosting Carnival? And of course, in the media launch, the CEO said it loud and clear, that's where they're going to have Carnival. And that's the results you see there. The nepotism continues. The nepotism continues. When you look at all the events, the fillers, the entertainers, you see the same faces all the time. Just one group of people. I mean, they're not even trying to push in another extra person here and there. All the decorations, as I understand it, is being done by a company the cabinet secretary owns. Ms. Carnival. All the decorations, all the work to do with creative business, as I understand it, goes to or through Mr. Orlando Romaine and his business. And we see them and their family and their close friends enjoying. And then they call on the nation to go to Carriacou to volunteer to clean up. And in fact, this nepotism is not just Carnival time. It's in every event that is hosted, anything hosted by this country, by this government. And of course, otherwise. Word is that it's mostly 3 agents that gets CBI work. I don't have to tell you who they are. You figure that out. Tremendous benefit or tremendous benefit. Is it fair that the nation's monies, our monies, just services a handful of persons? Is it fair when there are others that can do it and in some cases do a better job? Look at the decorations. A slab, there's a piece of cloth hanging there. Just look at it. When we have persons who has done that, studied it, have the degree in it, and do fabulous jobs. You can see sometimes when you go to some events and you see the decorations, you feel like you're in another place. Don't you think it's fair? Oh my God. In news, the government has been ordered by the High Court judge to pay thousands to a former contracted public officer who was attached to the Attorney General's chamber by the former New National Party Keith Mitchell administration, but was fired by the ruling National Democratic Congress Deacon Mitchell administration in October 2022, 3 months after being elected to administrate the affairs of the country. In her ruling, Justice Actie agreed that the termination of Lauren K. Simon contravenes Section 88(2) of the Constitution of Grenada and is null and void and of no effect. And I quote, "The defendants shall pay the claimant the fees for the contract with the government of Grenada for the period of April to November 2023, inclusive with interest at the rate of 3% from the date of filing the claim until judgment, and at the rate of 6% from the date of judgment until payment in full. The defendant shall pay the claimant vindictory damages in the sum of $20,000 for distress and inconvenience the justice instructed." That's what you get for being vindictive and victimizing persons who there's no need to. Not everybody would support you. And if someone isn't there and they're doing their job, and the Prime Minister said so when he came into office, why interfere with them? Why? And there are more to come, you know. There are several more to come. I will keep you informed. In other news, there was the launch of the $50 note. Now, you might remember the $50 note was part of the commemoration of the 50th independence, our Golden Jubilee. This is what the director, the chairman of the secretariat had to say.
On behalf of the chairperson of the National Organizing Committee of our 50th Anniversary of Independence celebrations, Dr. Wendy Crawford, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the launch of the $50 commemorative note in honor of our Golden Jubilee Independence celebrations. Following the celebration launch in October 2023, it was announced that Grenada had embarked on the development of a commemorative note to mark our 50th anniversary of independence. In February, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell unveiled the design of the note as part of the Vision 75 presentation. Today marks another significant milestone in the journey as we launch the availability of the $50 commemorative note to the general public. Just under 2 weeks ago, we commenced accepting advance orders for a commemorative booklet inclusive of the $50. The booklet gives an explanation of the various elements of the note while providing a safe place for long-term preservation and display of this commemorative piece. I must say that the moment we opened sales, it just skyrocketed immediately. So as noted by our Master of Ceremony, Zoe Hagley, people are generally very interested in keeping this piece of history. The commemorative keepsake can be purchased online currently at on our website if you visit grenadaturns50.gd/purchase, and it's available for the price of $80. And you can also couple this with the purchase of a magazine, our commemorative magazine, for the special price of the combined price of $150 for the two items. Once individuals have made their purchase, our office will contact you for collection either at our Golden Jubilee Secretariat or our consulate offices in the diaspora in New York, Washington, Toronto, and the UK at this present time. Following the launch, the note will soon go into public circulation, and it will be available as part of our regular transaction of business. And I might remind us that it is, in fact, legal tender. Prime Minister reminds us of that. While it is a commemorative piece, I know people will want to hold on to it. You can and should spend it. Today we have the pleasure of presenting the $50 commemorative note to a few individuals who were among the first to place their orders. And we have a number of them here today.
Okay, so we're paying $80 for a $50 note, and it's legal tender. It's legal tender, so we can spend it. So we spend it, but when we spend it, it's $50 we're spending it, not $80. So you've lost $30 there. My question is, what happens after that? So if I pay $80 for my $50, and I came to you and I bought a mango, you now have my $50, and then you go to buy more mangoes to come back to sell, and you use a $50, it's gone. So it's $50. After that, it's circulated and it's $50. So why buy an $80 one? I would wait for it to come around. It must come to you one day. It's out there, and you can get the $50 bill. And when you get it, you might want to just keep it and not. I don't understand. And the booklet to explain about the what's on the $50 note is an extra set of money again. It's an extra set of money again. We're still waiting on an explanation as to what happened to the 22.5 million the 22.5 million EC dollars that was given to the National Organizing Committee for the celebrations. We didn't get that yet. And it's just a set of money making everything, and we don't see it where it's going. We pay an extra for license for the roads. The roads are terrible. The potholes are deep. What is going on? The Prime Minister, for whatever reason, thought it necessary to throw words to the people up north. He said he had to explain to them what legal tender means. I don't know who or what gave him that idea, but here's the Prime Minister.
The notes are legal tender. I know there's some folks up in the north of Ireland that don't know what that term means. So legal tender means it's money. You can spend it just like any other note.
Some folks up in the north don't know what that term means, and he had to explain to you that legal tender means that the note can be spent. People up north, I hope you understand what legal tender means now. Folks, that's a wrap on today's episode of Simon Says. Always a pleasure conversing with you, keeping them honest. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. See you next week, same time, same place. Bye now.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.